Hello, welcome back to Ether. And this is as usual, Satomi and Paul, not usually, Satomi and Paul from Sakaso.ca. And today we have a special guest, Anna. And thank you for coming back. And then I'll let you introduce her because it's a mouthful for me. Sorry.
Well, Anna has so many talents. Prepare to get out your notepad, and I'll try to walk through it here. So yes, Anna Orlinska is our honored guest today. Thank you for coming back, Anna. It was wonderful.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you. So Anna is an alternative healing specialist, transformational coach. She is a medium, counselor, holistic life coach, sports nutritionist, personal trainer, and Reiki Master. Mm-hmm. And you can find her at AwakenedYou.ca. Today's she's joining us today because she inspired us for today's subject for the show today, and what we're going to focus on, which is how the impossible becomes inevitable. So as a transformational coach, she's seen this with her clients, and also I believe in her life as well. And it's a theme that we have seen as well. Yes. So it's a great topic for us.
This is when the great transformation happens
in people's lives. Yes. Yeah. Each one of us, we all have the journey that we go on in our life, and sometimes there's all kinds of little change we're dealing with all the time, right? Then there's some big things that can happen here and there, and then there's big life changes that happen, and I think that's what we're going to focus on today, particularly because that's like the most challenging and can be so engrossing and so. From my own, I'll talk about that. I think maybe if I get a chance here, but it was so crushing, I could maybe say, for so long, and how I wanted to get out from under that for so long, didn't know how, and then I finally was able to. But we all want to get somewhere. We all got something we want to heal from, and we all want to become something that's been so frustrating, and today, we're going to dive into that, and as always, questions and comments are welcome. That adds to the richness of the conversation here. So please feel free to jump in, and we'll be happy to have your stuff. That'd be the focus as part of the conversation here. So, Anna, maybe I'll throw the talking stick over your way here. Inspiration for today's show, and so the title I gave it, when the impossible becomes inevitable, also has this kind of way of saying it when the current way is no longer acceptable, from what you're sharing with us before the session or before the event here, and you mentioned rock bottom. So maybe you could tell us what inspired you to want to talk about this, and what is it that you wanted to touch on first?
Well, as most things, inspiration happens, I guess, primarily from our own lives. So this was a big key point in where I'm at in my own life right now. And it's that journey, and when you've been trying to move through something for so long, and it feels like a very long time, and then you've hit this point where it's like life throws at you this literal, okay, you have a choice between these two paths, and this one path is no longer acceptable. You don't know how you're going to move away from it. You have no idea, but all you know is that it is no longer acceptable to go down this path anymore. And for me, my relationship ended. I was solely financially dependent on my partner, and that got pulled away from me pretty much instantly. And I grew up in poverty. And so living that lack mindset, that poverty mindset, not acceptable for me anymore. It's not even like, okay, I'm going to kind of, figure it out. It's not the energy I want to live in. It's not who I am anymore. And so it's really owning this new, well, I shouldn't say new me. It is who I truly am, but this me that I know that I am, that I have known for so long, but really moving in to this path. Do I know what next step I need to take? Most of the time, no. To be honest, I feel like I'm free falling most of the time. But this knowing that this old path is just, it's no longer, like I said, it's no longer acceptable, just like in the title there, that I have to find the new way. It's almost like there's no longer a choice. There is, of course, always a choice, but in my decision process, this other way is just, it's no longer a choice, right? And so how do we move through that? And what even triggered that? I've been this poverty mindset, I've been healing and moving through, well, quite frankly, all my life, it feels like. And so where did this sudden click come from where I allowed it to a certain extreme over here in my past, and then now it's no longer acceptable, and it's no longer who I am? And where is that coming from? Why didn't I have it years ago? Also, is another question that keeps surfacing. It would be nicer if I could have reached that point earlier. And watching how things unfold since that definitive shift has occurred for me. And to be honest, I'm still going through it, but whatever I have needed has come about as soon as I entered that point. And I guess for a lot of people, it could be seen as rock bottom. I think for, the typical transformation purposes, it's seen as we've hit rock bottom and now we need to make another choice. I wouldn't describe what I went through. It didn't feel like a rock bottom. It was, or what we typically, see rock bottom as. It was just, no, for me and who I am, this fear-based place is no longer acceptable for me. And I'm on this path now.
Yeah, there's a lot of different kinds of rock bottom. What you're referring to there is like, a lot of people tend to associate that just with addiction or something, right? But
Right.
It's also can be just with depression, or it could be that the anxiety and stress is just too much. You can't take it anymore. That's your rock bottom, right?
Yeah.
So there's a switch that happens. There's something that's happening in there. What you're talking about, how you just, so you're saying that you're feeling this. There's a knowing that there's a different way.
Yes.
A better way, and that it's time.
Yes. And finally accepting that fully within myself, right? I still, and it's funny because during this journey, it's almost like I was testing the energy or testing myself. I would still try to do things that were related into that poverty mindset, and none of them worked out, which is also very interesting and kind of scary at the same time. But of validating that, no, the universe was supporting me, and that, no, I'm meant to go this way now. And for me, it all comes down to aligning with my soul purpose and who I know, my self-confidence, and who I know who I am, and that self-love, and that whole genre, that whole place. The more I align with that, the more anything that is not in line with that, the discord that occurs with that is tremendous. And it's like this point, like I when we were talking before, I'm like, I literally feel like this child who's put her hands on her hips and stomped her foot and said, no, I'm not doing that anymore. And within that comes this power to move and finally make the steps to move it on a different path.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, like a rock bottom. It kind of sounds in a way negative.
Mm-hmm.
right? So you've been doing something bad, and you have to hit the rock bottom to come out of it. So that's the like a background I understand. I understand as a rock bottom. So I agree. You were saying like it's not like rock bottom you hit, because the it's not the definition of rock bottom, but um, understanding around rock bottom or circumstance when people hit rock bottom, usually like you said, addiction or some negative thing that they've been carrying, and then you hit the rock bottom, and then they wake up and they change direction, right? But doesn't have to be negative, like a behavior or negative thing that you're doing. You're just doing your best, right? Figuring out, and then you still hit the rock bottom. It's like a dead end,
Yes.
right? Like I can tell, I can use this rock bottom or dead end when I went into a dark space. It was dead end, and right, and then yeah, I was trying to trying to search what to do, and it's because I was just all of a sudden thrown into this darkness. To me, it looks like it was right, and then you you try to get out, and then do normal way, like a normal way that I used to do. Nothing's working, and then if nothing's working, it's life or death. It's really right. It's
Yes.
when if nothing is working, that's going to be uh, you see a death, right? And then the choice is which one, and then yeah, you can call it a rock bottom, or I never use that word for my experience. So I'm not thinking in the term of rock bottom, but people would look at me maybe, oh, she hit rock bottom, right? That people might say it, but I don't feel, I never even thought about I was hitting a rock bottom until today, right? So because there's some negative
Right.
meaning in that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, but that and then you just can't move anywhere, and that and you're not turning around going back. That's not the dead end, right? You are. I don't know how to describe that situation. It's you have to, maybe you gotta move up this way, right? You're hitting the dead end, but you're not turning back, going back that way where you came from. That's not an option, right?
No.
You did your best going this way, and you because because this going back is not the way. So you move forward, and you're doing this way, and then you hit that end. Okay, that was me when I got into that dark place, and I think the way out was going up or something,
Right.
right? Yeah. So yeah, rock bottom. If you remove all that, like
Connotations.
yeah, and
There's negative connotations in
Mhm.
in the way society uses it. So we don't need to worry about that so much. Maybe you can just say dead end, right?
yeah,
Or it's toxic, right? But
Mhm.
it's not sustainable anymore.
Mhm.
Whatever it is that, and that's like our normal way of doing things, and what we consider to be normal, and that can mean a lot of so many different things, right?
Mhm.
There is no such thing as normal, but there
Mhm.
is a socially acceptable,
Mhm.
right? That you could use that instead of normal there.
Mhm.
That's also can be toxic and dead end, or just your way of doing things,
Mhm.
the way you've been accustomed to doing things your whole life, whether that's, being kind of maybe just um, looking at doing things too much for other people and not enough for yourself, right? Not taking care of yourself and just always living for other people. That can be a normal, and that can have a rock bottom. That can have a dead end, right? As well, right? So there's so many things that can do that just lead to a point where being the way that you're accustomed to being is simply not an option anymore. Not one more step in that direction.
Yeah, like Anna's talking about recent things that happened to you, and I have experience. So I can see like you're doing it for yourself, like two paths, right? You've been choosing to go this way, staying together. You're doing it, yeah, for financial reason, or could be for your kids' sake. They need both parents, right? That was biggest one. I was choosing this way for the kids, right? And then every time I look at this path and no. Well, I'm gonna keep trying and see. I can push myself a little more and see it might come out, right? Something might change, right? And you push, and then so not just your just because you have fear of finance or fear of other thing, you are wishing and hoping that this is gonna work for some reason, right? And if this works, and that would be the best, right? And then you keep pushing yourself this way, and then no. Okay, I cannot push anymore, and I'm gonna go this way, right?
That's when you have to change.
Yeah,
right?
that's it's like
we push ourselves very, very hard.
Yeah,
and we're very hard on ourselves, and we have expectations that are of ourselves to do things in the way that we're doing them. I think we're doing the best, like just having good intentions, for example, right? It can be we can really push ourselves to always automatically do what seems to be the right thing. And that if you're doing it, like if you're always trying to do the right thing, trying to do the right thing, that can actually be harmful to yourself, right? Because you're always trying, and sometimes it's not appropriate to rescue, right? Other people, for example, if that's what you're trying to do. It can be better to do help in other ways, right? So there's so many different ways. Did you want to get into that one, or? Okay. We got some comments. Thank you guys for your comments. Keep sending them in. We'll jump over to them as soon as it makes sense here. And so when you have to change, it can be like you've had enough. From in the basis of your career, this is what you're saying, Anna, but health, relationships, addictions, coping mechanisms, whatever the case is, at a certain point, it's enough. Enough is enough, right? Something's got to change because it's not working for you. It's not working for the people that you love in your life, or life can just kind of hit you upside the head, like what you're saying, right? Your partner just, gone, right? You built your life around and put so much love and effort into, they're gone, right? So now what, right? You're doing all the things you're supposed to do as best you possibly can, right? And then all of that is in ruins, and that's really, really hard.
Right.
Yeah.
So your whole life is like you've moved. We know that you've moved, and you had to make more adjustments than could be counted, and and you're facing it. So life can come along like that. Do you feel like it's outside circumstances? Do you feel like it's just your inner needs that are triggering things, or is it a combination of the two, or the two not separate?
It's a combination of, I know it's due to the internal shifts that I have made. And I liken it to a food cleanse. So when you first do a food cleanse, you kind of feel like you have the flu because all the toxins are releasing. So that's how I choose to see what is happening in my life. Not to say that what I'm letting go is bad. It's just no longer resonating with me. So it is releasing. And it's seeing it that way has helped put me back in my center in those moments where, because there's been a lot of fear that has come up. But when I see that fear, or I notice that fear, I thank it, and I also put it in the perception that it's coming up so I can let it go. And it's not, I don't need to hold on to it. It's not my reality. It's not my forever. It's just simply letting go. And that has helped me tremendously because, again, I can come back to my center and my truth and who I know I am, and just let that stuff go. Let the chaos kind of be the chaos that it needs to be right now. But I know who I am, and that connection that I have to myself, to my guides, to my team, the support, and I've had a lot of friend support in that, in this whole process, and the messages that are being reverberated back to me from them in those moments where I feel like I know that's also an inside reflection of who I am, right? And so that has carried me through all of this. And there's the visual that I'm getting right now is like I'm this in the center of a tornado. It's the most peaceful, calm place you can be. So I feel that's where I'm, in that center of that tornado, and it's just stuff's just doing this right now. And eventually it will, the tornado ends and it calms down, and I'm really the strong centered place that I'm in. And so returning back to that time and time again has really helped ground me or hold me strong through all of this, and allowed things to come to me that have helped in this process also. I'm not sure if I answered your question now, because that was a very long-winded.
I was asking if you felt that the trigger point for making the change is more of an internal thing, or if it's an external circumstance.
For me, in my process, I know it's definitely an internal, and I feel that it is pretty much all the time for everyone, right? Because we're projecting our outside reality from what is going on internally and from our vibrational body. So those shifts and those, even though from my belief system, I don't believe anything external happens to us just because. It is something we're projecting outward. And when I first came into that feeling of knowing for myself, it did feel hard to take in, because what do you mean I wanted this bad thing to happen to me? No, I didn't. Right. But once you move past that, you can move into this beautiful place of responsibility. And we actually, if we have the power to create that, we have the power to change it also. And so no, I don't, for myself, I don't believe it was just a sporadic outside circumstance. I believe for me, it occurred because of a change, an internal change that I've been moving through.
yeah, you have like a big transformation. Like I don't know when you started, but last year, or is that 2 years ago? I don't remember that.
I think it was 2 years ago. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, 2 years ago. So yeah, so we know you made a huge transformation, right? And then internal change, and then that's gonna affect lots of things in your life, right? And
Right.
then you change, and then people can change together. People around you can change together, or they can have benefit from your change. Like a change, I mean, changes changing to be better, right? Growing, right? And becoming wiser. That's the change, not the negative way. So when you change, you can move together, but sometimes the people around you, when they're not ready for a change, the distance become bigger,
Right.
right? And then you gotta make a choice sometimes, right?
Yes.
Fortunate choice, and that happens. And I'm not saying that happens to you, but that can happen. And then this separation, everybody can take. It's external thing that happened to me, right? I didn't choose it. It happened, but things happens always. Things happens all the time, right? And what what's important is it's always up to you how to take it.
Mm-hmm.
Accept it or you don't accept it. In your case, you accept it and you took responsibility, right? And you
Mm-hmm.
know that's your responsibility to deal with it, accept it and deal with it and move on. And you took the full responsibility, and then you took it as a, okay, this is my opportunity to keep changing. And so you can move forward. And other people, it's like, oh, why this happens to me? And then everybody else is happy, and why it's always me? And then they're not taking responsibility, they're not accepting. Then yes, that's gonna keep them suffered, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you know you don't want to choose that way.
No.
Yeah.
No. And that
Hmm.
doesn't mean that even though I don't want to choose that way, that I haven't felt those feelings.
Right.
They have come up, but it's been more of a, I have the tools now to move through them and recognize that even when I'm feeling those, I call them, the victim kind of feelings, or the, poor me kind of feelings, that they're not bad either. I'm going to honor them and feel them within myself, but I'm going to allow them to move through. And again, all about releasing. They're coming up so I can let them go. Um, I've done a lot of inner child work throughout this whole process, and I see it as when that voice comes up, it's just a little kid version of me that's crying out in pain, and so I hug her and I give her the support she needs, and it's amazing how the release just happens and that feeling stops popping up. And so yeah, I don't want to kind of negate the fact that I'm not some guru that has not gone through those emotions. Believe you me, I definitely have. But it's, how do you said it beautifully. Are you going to move through them, or are you going to stay and live in that suffering place?
Hmm.
And that is one of the big changes. The part of my transformation is I done with the suffering place, right? And that doesn't mean that that's not going to still come up for me in my life, but I know how to move through that now and not remain anchored in it or stuck in it, right?
Hmm.
The thing is, though, that so many of us, like, well, maybe I could say all of us, when we're going into that, right, into a really big one in our lives, the stuff we really don't want to deal with, stuff we don't want to face. Like I've got on screen here, external circumstances that reflect your internal journey, right? So if it is going to be that divorce, right, that you don't want to deal with it, or if it's going to be shifting your career to be something that's coming from you authentically, who you really are, and not how you feel accepted by other people as being normal and following the rules and all that kind of stuff. And if you're really going to go out there and just let your freak flag fly,
Right.
you're taking a huge risk, and you don't want to do that, right? So there's an internal journey happening, so that you're going through your life and things are shifting. You're doing your best to cope and deal with it and make it all work. But there's something in you that's changing, something that's not satisfied by by how you're living your life. Something is wrong. And then, so like I asked you that question, do you think it was external things or internal things? And honestly, though, my own perspective is that they're not separate, right? And I think you're kind of saying the same thing.
Yeah.
That that divorce happens because it needed to, right? Because being comfortable isn't really something that's we have no guarantee of comfort in life. That's not really what we're here for, I don't think. I think we're meant to really push ourselves as far as we can all the time. While still enjoying our lives, I think we're supposed to grow, and growth requires some discomfort, some pain, right? And if we push it off and try to not deal with it, not face it, that it's you're not.
Tsunami comes, wash everything out.
Well, you know that, right? So I was just going to say, you want to flow with life instead of resisting, because if you don't, it's like we used this example before, but it's a perfect example. Like in your case with your psychic ability, you're just like, I don't want to have anything to do with it. Don't want to deal with it. No, that's not me. I don't want to deal with it. No, and yet you're still receiving all this stuff, and then life just kicked you in the ass and just said, nope. Sorry, today's the day, right? It's all coming now. You've been pushing it off and delaying, and so here, all the bills are due now.
So I give you all those time and giving you all those chances, but you keep saying no. Okay, you don't have choice anymore. I'm gonna burn. Right. So wash everything out.
Yeah, exactly.
Doors open.
And it's hard to figure out. I get it. It's like you don't want to go there. You don't know what that world's gonna be like. You actually had some judgments about people who were psychic, so that was part of why you're not wanting to go there. You didn't want to let your freak flag fly. You didn't want to lose friends. All that same. You don't want to infect the kids' lives, right? Because they have their social lives. Like, your mom's a psychic, right? So there's all of that. I've had my own resistance to change. I didn't want to let my freak flag fly. I wanted to be normal and fit in, right? And is that the same? Would you say the same thing for yourself, Anna? Is that kind of the process you went through as well, or?
Oh, big time. And it's been. I don't know if this. For me personally, that this has been like I've had one tsunami,
Mm-hmm.
moment that kind of forced me to let my freak flag fly. I love that saying, by the way. I think because I've been open to going with the flow of life, that I've been doing it incrementally. And this is just another, I saw it as another opportunity now now I'm stepping even more into that before, because I wouldn't say that, my soul's calling that I'm doing right now, that I wasn't doing that before this big life event occurred. No, I definitely was. And I was getting, more open and more, talking about, and not resisting it. I was very open to it. This is just seeing as a, an opportunity to take that to the next level now. But I have experienced many times where, like you guys, where I've resisted something and it's like, nope, this is happening now, you know? And again, but I think for me anyway, and you guys can, say yes or no to this, but it's not something bad that's happening to us. It's actually our true soul of who we are. This is actually what we want. We just have those fears resisting it. And it moves us more into the happiness when we do move into that space. Like, Satomi, would you say that, once you accepted your psychic abilities, that it's been more pleasurable for you in life?
I'm still learning. This is like a totally opposite, right? I was avoiding 100% avoiding any psychic, right? And then too deeply into psychic, so it's totally different world. And there's still old Satomi comes in once in a while when I'm having a reading session. What am I talking about? This is crazy. Are you sure you can share this? So there's still that part of me is there, and but I do feel I would say I cannot live without being a psychic.
Right.
I cannot go back. That's gonna put me into suffering.
Right.
I was in a dark place. The way I came out of it is accept and learn and start to use it. That was the only way out of the darkness. So I'm using it, I'm accepting it, and then trusting, and then using it daily basis. And if I don't have sessions, probably I will be more in pain.
Right.
Like the other day, last week, I think it was last week, I got really overwhelmed. I wasn't ready because it's been 3 years of this pandemic and not getting together, right? So first time in 3 years we went to theater, and I kind of forgot what it was, how it affects me, right? So I was kind of being light and then thinking I'm gonna be okay, right? Why did I think I was gonna be okay? But and so I went in and we were sitting there 3.5 hours in there watching the show. But and at the end I was so exhausted, but I thought I was just exhausted because it was late, right? It's my bedtime and I'm so tired. And then when it ended, as soon as it ended and light came on, like I realized what happened. Oh my God. I'm in deeply pain because of sitting with like I don't know, 300 people or whatever together for 3.5 hours.
Right.
So what you're saying is you're receiving all that stuff and you're not doing a reading or something, so you're not channeling not working with it.
I'm just receiving, right? Just one way.
Like paperwork piling up on your desk, kind of, right? It's like, oh my God, how am I ever going to get through this work, right?
Then, so I was, that was probably first time in 3 years, I got that much overwhelmed. I was done. And then I wanted to cry. At the end of the theater, everybody's just moving and started to go home. I'm like, I would have cried. I have no idea, but I'm feeling so overwhelmed and tears start to come out. I held it back. When I came home, I just let it out and I started to cry because I couldn't hold it back anymore. But so it's just, if I'm just receiving, I get that much
Right.
over.
Right.
And next day, I did some cleansing work, and still next morning, I was like, oh my God, I'm still feeling knocked out and heavy, and I wasn't ready to have sessions. Oh my God, I don't know how I can handle today. But I feel bad canceling all the sessions. But at the same time, I feel bad showing up, not feeling perfect.
Right.
Which one, like always, which one can I do it, or not it's not a good idea. And then that day, I chose to do it. I think I can do it. I can manage it. I'll do it, right? And three, 4 sessions or something. At the end of the day, I was feeling so me, back to me,
Mm-hmm.
right? And oh my God, this is helping me, right?
Right.
This what I'm doing with clients. It's I clients thinks that I'm helping them, but I don't tell anyone. But it's not just one way I'm receiving. I'm
Yeah.
sharing what I'm receiving,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then this outlet for me, and then it's being used. Whatever I'm receiving is used, right? By
Right.
by
Mhm.
clients, the
Mhm.
messages. So there's a flow,
Mm-hmm.
and there's a flow. So we need the energy flow always.
Yes.
And then that's the energy flow. How it happens for me is using my psychic ability.
Right.
Is for sure I know right now. So it's yeah, I shouldn't avoid this.
Yeah.
So I'm accepting.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I'm taking one step at a time, and I'm moving forward. Still learning a lot. I don't see the end. Just keeps going and going and
Yeah.
going. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That
So
was, yeah, that was beautiful. And that's that place that trying to describe is like, you may have the fear still on using, your psychic abilities and doing the sessions, but the fear of not doing it is far greater. The suffering that would happen over here is
yeah,
far greater than
yeah.
anything that comes up. And this is how I was trying to describe where I'm at now
Mm.
is this one over here is like I term it as not acceptable, but it's maybe not even a fear. It's just there's no want in living that way anymore, that feeling anymore, that it's very similar to your experience, the disconnection of
Mhm.
the flow of who I am, of helping people the way that I am, right? I can't. It's like I described it, I think, to you guys before. It's almost like it, to a point, the choice is taken away because this other way is no longer a choice. It
Mhm.
isn't.
Yeah,
There's
no
no,
longer available for you.
no.
Yeah.
And so you go the other way and, free fall and hope you land okay. But, disclaimer, you always do.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah.
So,
Just, yeah. So yeah, sometimes you feel like you're free falling and
mm,
you don't see a land or right. This is I don't know. This is I had this dream many times, and then I it's like I just jump. Usually I just jump over a puddle or something, right?
Mhm.
Jump over a puddle, and instead of landing on the other side of puddle, I keep going up,
Mm.
keep going up. And at the beginning, I said, "Oh, cool! I jumped so high." And then once it passed certain points, like, "Oh my God, I'm getting up too high. How am I going to land?" Right? Getting up,
Right.
going up and up and up, and I don't know how I'm able to land from here. Right?
Right.
And don't, I don't remember falling, and somehow it end and it moved to something else. I never fell, uh,
Right.
but it's that fear of, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. I had that dream so many times. It just always start from a little jump and
Right.
oh no, oh no, oh no, oh no. So that's, uh, but I never.
Do you think that fear is like you can't go back to where the old life, or what do you think?
Yeah, I'm not sure. Like really this exact same dream I had before many times. It. I should have take some notes
Mhm.
when I had that dream. Right, I never do. But then I might have some idea. I have this dream when this happens.
Mhm.
Right.
Right?
Mhm.
So,
Right.
but I'm thinking it's like when I'm throwing into some new phase, right, and a new unknown place, and then I'm this. Oh, I don't know where am I heading, right? And then I don't know I can do this kind of thing. Maybe that's the feeling that I'm carrying, and then
Yeah.
having a
Right.
dream. Right.
Because that's the big thing, is that when we're facing change, we're facing the unknown, right?
Yeah.
And it's terrifying. It's
Yes.
terrifying, and there's a reason for that. I mean, you're taking a risk, right? You've gotten this far in your life, like we were saying earlier, by coping and doing your best,
Yeah.
and you know that territory, and it's probably cost you dearly to get here,
Yeah.
right?
And it's
So
supposed to be safe.
it's supposed to be safe.
Because
Yeah.
you're still alive
Yeah.
doing that way.
Yeah.
Right.
You survived
Safe,
to this
right.
point. Yeah. And there's been so many other places where it could have been a disaster if you made a poor choice, right? So you're looking at a situation where now, though, you can't stay the way you are.
Mm-mm.
Safe is no longer safe, right?
Yes.
You've gone down this path this whole way, your whole life, and thinking that this is the right way to do things, this is the way you're supposed to, it's the safe way, it's what works for you, you don't like doing this or that, right? And so you ended up here. And then now you're here and you're realizing that this is not safe anymore. It's not acceptable. It's not working for you. So what the heck do you do now, right? So, so now you're faced with and you can't go back, right? Now you're looking at is this a complete dead end? Are you stuck, right? What is life? Has life betrayed you in a sense, right? Have circumstances or people in your life, have they betrayed you, and you end up in this spot? So you could focus on those kind of negative things, and that's probably not going to be that productive, but you could focus on, well, what can I do, right? I mean, I can't do the same stuff, but is there something else? What is it, right? So then you're looking at automatically the unknown, and that's scary, right? So that for those same reasons, it's like it's not an easy place to be. You're getting you know, you're on the hot seat. You can't stay here anymore, and you don't know which way is the right way to go. You could have You could have made so many bad choices in the past.
Mm-hmm.
You've survived up till here. You know this territory, but now you can't be here anymore. So what the heck?
Mm-hmm.
My heart goes out to anybody in that situation, because that's such a human place to be.
Mm-hmm.
One, we've all kind of been there in some sense.
Mm-hmm.
And when it's a big one,
Mm-hmm.
everything is on the line,
Mm-hmm.
right? Your whole life is on the line. You're putting it all out there. And it could be that something has come along and kicked you in the ass too. Like it could be that divorce, right? Or it could be that you got fired. Or it could be that, you had a big fight with somebody important in your life, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or health, like people like,
Yeah. Health issue come along, all of those things.
Mm-hmm.
And now what? Right now now life seems to be kicking you in the face, right? So what do you do? And that's why we're saying that the only answer really is to flow with life instead of resisting it. But what is flowing with life in that situation? Well, my experience, and I know it, I'm pretty sure it's with you guys too, and I'm pretty sure it's with the audience, that there is always some kind of intuitive feeling that's indicating a way, right? There's something.
Yeah.
There's some there whether you had a dream about it, right? Like not necessarily that dream, not the one you're referring to, but a dream, different one, or you just always wanted to do this and never felt like it was the appropriate thing to do because of social pressures, or because you were never encouraged. Doing it is gonna be expensive or just a huge risk. You're so many things, right? So in your case, Anna, so you were saying that it's internal that led you to the shift. You also had your divorce. So was it like a combination 1-2 like that pushed you into into a big change, or have you had more smaller ones all along the way, or how's it been for you?
I've had smaller long ones all along the way, but if I'm honest, I did, and I have been asking, actually it just came up as you were asking this question, that I wanted a big shift,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
And I if I'm honest with myself, I was asking for that.
Oh,
I
yes.
didn't I didn't foresee it looking the way that it played out. But I was asking for that. Um, and even though I didn't realize it till this exact moment, um, it became like following that intuitive feel became the only way that I knew how to move through all of this. Um, it is this, like right now, I'm just like, if I hear my intuition or if I have a dream or if I hear my guide say something, I'm just like, okay, like there is discernment. Don't get me wrong. I'm not just like blindly going, but there is this, when I get that feeling and that knowing and that expansive state that this is what is going to make my heart sing, I'm going to say yes and I'm going to go do it. And there's been many instances where leading up to it, there's just tremendous fear in doing that. But this shift and this big, I guess I did get that big transformation because I'm following, that feeling within is greater than the fear. And much like Satomi's, where you didn't feel like you should show up for those clients that day because you weren't feeling well, right? I've had many low moments right before I'm going into, something with a client or a group, and I hear, no, you've got this. And I'm okay. And I have a beautiful experience and a beautiful time. And I feel better and stronger, after that. And so, yeah, going back to your question, it was, now that I'm honest with myself, looking back, I wanted this, right? And again, coming back to that responsibility of it, that I asked for this in a, in a way, but taking ownership of that and following my intuition and knowing that this is for my highest and best good, so that I can be happier and, all those things that I wish in my life. And the big one is that so I can help others, right? If I'm not living my truth and feeling my best and honoring myself, much like that plane analogy, putting your mask on first yourself, I'm not going to be able to help anybody. I'm not going to be able to show up the way that I want to show up for people, right? And so, coming back to taking that responsibility in what is happening in my life, and following that expansive feeling is a big one, that has always helped me move forward. Even if something feels expansive and feels great to do, and then I have a yeah but. If I have a yeah but after something that feels good to do, then I always look. I always stop and wait a minute. What is saying yeah but after that? Like, is that a fear that's holding me back? Or is this, something maybe now the timing's not right at this moment, right? And really having those conversations with myself and my spirit team, and even talking to a bunch of people around me and seeing how their opinions, what is my body and inner being saying when I'm hearing their perception on what I'm going through. That has helped me big time, right? And comes back to learning about me, right? And what is right.
Yeah. You were saying like probably that last one that we did together on Ether, you were sharing that exercise.
Right.
When you hold that thought or whatever feeling, do you feel your body like expand or get tight? Tense up, right? That is something that everybody can use. At the beginning, it might be harder to feel, right? If you're confused by your mind, and then you might not be able to feel clearly what's expanding and what's tensing up. If you're always tensed up, you might not feel that expanding feeling easily, but everybody is able to feel this because we're born with it, right? So listen to your body, listen to your heart, and when you're saying, when you're talking to someone and hearing their opinion, is your body happy to hear that, or body tensing up, right? And when you're choosing this or this, right? Maybe you have fear in them both, right? That's why you cannot. If it's no fear and fear, yeah, sure, go this way, right? It's easy, but because there's fear on both sides, that's why we choose this way or that way, and then we keep choosing less fear way, right? But you have to ask yourself. This is important always, like asking yourself, right? Why you have fear, right? What's your fear, right? What are you afraid of? And then you really ask yourself deeply, and you can start to understand what you want. Right? Like a simple example, like I was talking about the day I was in the morning, I felt overwhelmed, and should I cancel? My feeling first one is like, I'm not sure I can do this, right? And then I ask myself always, okay, can I do this, or maybe I should cancel? Which one, right? And then there's like a fear. Fear is not doing great job with clients, right? That would be the fear. And then is that the fear that I'm afraid of not doing a good job and receiving complaints. That
Right.
is a fear, right? But the same reason that I don't want to do the session is because it's not because I'm afraid of receiving complaints, but I just simply I don't feel that I can perform, right? That's not the fear,
Right.
right?
Right.
And then if it's not the fear, if I'm feeling fear, right, I'm not sure they would like my readings today, and that is a fear, and
Right.
I shouldn't listen to that, right?
Right.
I'm feeling okay. I'm not really in a good place, and I don't feel it's respectful for clients. I'm not being respectful for clients showing up this way, and that is not fear. Then I
Right.
would choose, okay, I'm going to cancel, right? But that day it was a little bit fear of the other one, right? I might not be able to do a good job. That is a fear. And do I want to do it, right? Do you think I can do this? And I asked, and I think I can do it. I
Right.
think I want to do it, right?
Right.
So
Right.
bottom line is always, do I want to do it?
Right.
Do I not want to do it? That's always for me. That's the decision maker, right?
Right.
Do you want it or do you not want it? And
Right.
are you afraid that's why you're avoiding, or that's not your fear, right?
Right.
So
Right.
yeah. Hmm.
Yeah. For me, it's asking those questions, but what also has helped is knowing my intention, right? And so is my intention every morning, every day, is what is in the highest and best good of myself and everyone that everyone on the planet, but also everyone I'm coming into contact with. And so when I ask those questions,
Hmm.
is which is the right path, when I know it's in line with that intention, it kind of helps me feel within my body and more so trust, what I'm feeling within my body as an expansive or contractive. Um, and the other thing that I want to mention when you start doing, like the feeling, and because a lot of us, we're disassociated from our body, we live in our heads. And some of us even have gone through physical trauma. And so to say go within your body, well, once you do that, you're going to feel the trauma. So there's fear of going in there. But beginning with something small or something you don't have an attachment to. What came to my mind was like, what do I have for dinner today? The pasta or, a salad kind of thing. And using that, something that you don't have much attachment to feel the expansive contractive. And then, okay, after I had that meal that I thought was expansive or that I felt was expansive, do I feel good or bad after that? And right, because you're going to start to notice the patterns that happen. Okay, and maybe next time, just for experimental purposes, if I felt expansive on the salad but I ate the pasta, did I feel physically ill afterwards? Right, and you can start to build that discernment and that awareness within yourself.
Yeah, learning to connect to yourself
Right.
body. Yeah, that's important. Yeah, that's a good exercise. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
So looking at the time here,
mhm.
and our audience has been very patient here. So thank you for sticking with us, guys. I think that this subject is big, and if our audience here is willing to come back next week, we can continue this conversation, because I know that you wanted to share so much more here, Anna, and there's a lot more to the story what we can go into.
Yeah.
So what I'm going to do is I think we'll set this up for a part 2, and we'll dive into this and go further and carry on from where we left off here. Because I know there's so much about how it's really so inspiring. I find that there's so much in the way that you've shared with us already about how going into this unknown and how that changes, so that, like we were saying earlier, that this factor, right, that intuitive feeling leading towards change is stronger than fear. That's when you're in that place of change, right? But all the way up until that point in life, the answer is no, it's not been, right?
Right.
What's the difference, right? So we really
Right.
want to know what's going on there and break that down. I think is really helpful for people to connect with that. Is so, like, we do this, we kid ourselves, and all through our lives we listen to our egos, right? We make decisions not necessarily based on love, some fear-based decisions, and we end up in difficult places, right?
Right.
So what's the difference between that and when we're in that crisis place, and everything is going to be difficult and hard and have pain, and there's an intuitive feeling about doing something different, but that is scary, right? Being different is scary. So how do we help people move from that place, from being in pain, seeming to have no good options? There's an intuitive feeling that there could be a different way, but that is terrifying.
Right.
And how do we know that is going to lead somewhere that's going to be that's going to be better than way it is right now, right?
Right.
There's so many avenues for achieving change in life that could be, like if it's a medical thing, you could be a pill, right? And a prescription, and that prescription, maybe it's a good thing, or maybe it's going to have side effects that are not so great, right? Or maybe there isn't even a medical option, right? A standard one. So people get into these places that are very, very hard, and my heart goes out to them. I've been there, and I know you guys have both been there, and I'm sure our audience has been there too. How do we move forward from there? And that's what we'll pick up with in the next episode here. I'll just mention here quickly that if you do want to connect with Anna, she's you can find her. I'm trying to find the thing here. You can find her at AwakenedYou.ca, and she's offering a free 20-minute soul reading, which is just beautiful. So you can check that out. And we'll continue this conversation next week. And Anna, I think you're going to be coming back.
Yep.
And guesting next week as well, which would be wonderful. And you can see us next week then, right here on Ether at 4 p.m. Eastern, and on Sunday. And till then, take care, everybody.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Satomi and Paul.
Bye-bye.